I want to tell you about a conversation that I recently had with someone. It totally changed the way I thought about the music industry. It was an A&R guy at Capitol Records, which is OK Go's old label. And he said, yeah, YouTube bands, they seem like a good idea. It seems generally like a nice idea, but in the end, it doesn't really work out. He said, I mean, look at OK Go, for example. They had millions of views online, and then, we worked with them, and in the end, they only sold 250,000 records. And my jaw hit the floor. 250,000 records. That's, at $18 a record, that's $4.5 million. So since when is a $4.5 million business not a good idea? In what industry is $4.5 million of gross not good? And I think the answer lies in this formula. There's a formula that's been used for a long time to convert music into dollars. And it's a simple formula. It's the same formula as a venture capital firm. It works like this. A venture capital firm invests in 20 different startups. They know that 90% of those businesses are going to fail in the first year. They still give them $15, $20, $25 million because they know that one of them is going to be the next Instagram, and it's going to sell to Facebook for $1 billion, and it's going to make the whole thing worth it. So a major label is no different. They have sometimes a roster of thousands of artists, and they'll throw millions of dollars at some of their bands, even though they know that most of these bands are never going to see the light of day. No one's really going to listen to them, because they know that one of those bands is going to be Lady Gaga, and it's going to make the whole thing worth it. So this is a model that works. It works fine. But the problem is, it fails to acknowledge the small business version of a band. It fails to acknowledge this small business that's actually a financially viable business now. The reason it doesn't acknowledge it is because when this model came about, when this formula first started, there were two channels of distribution and marketing. You had radio, you had television. You had to appeal to millions of people. You had to appeal to the masses, to the lowest common denominator. Even if you could reach your niche audience, it didn't matter because you couldn't make a business out of selling 20,000 records or 50,000 records. You had too many startup costs, right? You had to make a record cost sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then to market and distribute, you had to contract with retailers and trucking companies. I mean, it was practically impossible. But not anymore. We have the internet. And for the first time in the history of recorded music, you can actually be the small business version of the band. And not only is it a good, sustainable, viable business, it's a multi-million-dollar business. This is the first time that's happened. And perhaps the poster child of this phenomenon is Amanda Palmer. How many people have heard of Amanda Palmer? Okay, a few people here and there, scattered. She recently did a Kickstarter campaign. How many people have heard of Kickstarter? All right. So Kickstarter is a crowdsourced funding platform. She ran one of these campaigns. She had 30 days. She's a musician. She said to her fans, I've recorded a record, no label. She had no distribution set up. Just Twitter, Facebook, her network, her fans. In 30 days, she pre-sold 24,000 albums and made $1.2 million. This is huge. Everybody's freaking out. The press is going nuts. Amanda Palmer's a millionaire. I mean, it's a really big deal. But a label looks at that and they say, 24,000 albums, we're not interested. A 24,000 album band on a major label is a failed act. But it's not that way anymore. And in our minds, too, it almost seems like a failed act. You think, well, how many people here have heard of Amanda Palmer? And I guarantee you, when she walks into a Christmas party or a cocktail party that her parents have invited her to over the holidays, and she's talking with someone that she doesn't know, and they say, oh, what do you do? She says, I'm a musician. And they probably look at her and they say the same exact thing that they say to me and Nataly when we tell them that. They look at you very sincerely in the eyes and they say earnestly, well, I hope one day you make it. It's because in our minds we have this idea of the singular music industry, this thing that an artist can break into, and inside they can blossom and become successful. But the internet has made it possible to have music industries and small business versions of bands. So the point is this: if you ditch the overhead, if you ditch the huge expenses, Skrillex recorded Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites on a laptop for free. It didn't cost anything. If you ditch all of that and you take advantage of the internet, you connect with your niche markets, then it's possible to be a successful small business version of a band. And young kids who grow up to be successful lawyers and entrepreneurs and businessmen, they could also grow up to be successful artists and musicians if they're encouraged to do so. And they should be encouraged to do so because it is possible to be a successful artist. So thank you. I'm going to invite Nataly back on stage. We'll play you one more song.